Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN, and presented by the number one in our hearts daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks, which you should download today, because when you do, use code Eurostep, you get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And lately, the only way that, Bucks fans can perceive wins during Bucks games is if you happen to have some Prize Picks going as well. I am Ti Windisch, joined as always by my lovely co-host Rohan Katti. Rohan back from a week in transit, back from scouting the dire ghost of Bucks future during Nets Wizards. And I do think it's poignant. Let's start here. What's more fun, watching Nets Wizards or watching a Bucks game?
Here, this is a perfect segue because I was gonna tell a story. First of all, it
Okay.
feels like Lord of the Rings 3 right here. It's the Return of the King. I'm kidding.
Wow,
Um,
nice. Did you
but
dunk
yeah,
your face in expensive sparkling water this morning?
I did, I gotta follow the morning routine.
Rohan on the
Uh,
call with Prize Picks. Let's do 10 billion.
we got but yeah, I was away for a week, if anyone noticed. I mean, hopefully you did.
Yeah,
I'd
I
like,
think people
I'd
notice.
like I'd like to think
I'll
that.
tell you this. I did a solo thing at one point, and people were like, glad we kept the pod going, but prefer when Rohan's here. And I said, you know what? Same. Same, folks.
But yes, thank you to you, Ty. Thank you to the whole GSPN crew for keeping things covered while I was away. I was in Washington, D.C. For a week, and you know, it was nice to detach. I got a
Yeah,
little break. I had
yeah.
to do some work stuff. I was there for work. Got to have a vacation as well. Got to go see cherry blossoms in full bloom. Got
Nice.
to, experience go do a lot of fun things, eat some great food, go to some fun museums. It was a really nice time. I got to go see Wizards Nets. You know what? You can sit row one for $90 and Wizards Nets. So that's
I
what I
mean,
did.
are the prices down the stretch here for the Bucks going to be too dissimilar?
They might not be, but it was a cool experience. I got to check in on our guy, Chris Middleton, see how he's doing. He's doing all right. He's not sitting on the bench. He's sitting kind of in the seats. It's a little strange.
Yeah.
But he's there. Malcolm Brogdon's sitting there right next to the assistant coaches. I forgot he was
I
on that team.
forgot. Yeah,
Yeah.
has he not played in a while? Is he ruled
No.
out?
Yeah, he's been
Okay.
out.
I was
Forgot
gonna
he was
say,
on that
wow,
team.
I totally forgot there was like a reunion there for Brogdon and Chris.
Yeah, so got to go see some fun basketball. It was akin to a March Madness game. It was a close game. It was yeah, it was close. It was exciting in that regard. Not the best basketball I've ever seen. Alex Sarr had some fun moves. AJ Johnson
Yeah.
was getting loose a little bit. I was cooking up some prize picks lineups on that game. AJ Johnson got to go above more than on the 18 and a half PRA. Smash that one.
Oh yeah.
Uh, let's not talk about the rest of it. But that
Yeah.
one was a win. It was a flex play though. It was a flex play.
There you go.
And it was nice. I got to detach. I got to go watch some mid basketball and I had fun. It
Yeah.
was it was very low stakes. It was very fun. And then the first thing I do when I come back in Milwaukee is turn on Bucks Hawks.
Mm,
And I'm just like at
gruesome.
many points during this game, I am just screaming at my television by myself, what is the point? What is the
Yeah.
point of anything? I'm looking at this team and I'm looking at the way they play basketball. And the first half, first quarter, I'll say, was like the only joy I felt watching that. The rest of the game was just pure pain. I'm seeing them do whatever they can do offensively and have their way offensively, yet give up turnover after turnover, never get back in transition, struggle to get back even after made baskets. And you're giving up open threes. You can't rotate. You're giving up. At least they limited the points in the paint, which was good. But you're giving up wide open jumpers. You're being able to just even though you're having a great offensive performance, you cannot stop them on the defensive end. And remind you, this is a team that is below you in the standings for now. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. Uh,
They said I was a madman when I said, hey, keep an eye on Bucks Hawks here down the stretch, that this was the rare 5-game tiebreaker where the Hawks clinched it They are now 4 back in the loss column with the tiebreaker. So if these teams are tied in losses at the end of the year, the Hawks would jump the Bucks on the table right now.
It's completely on the table. And I'm watching this team just blow switches, blow rotations, not know how to ice, even though you're 74 games, 73 games at that point into the season. And I'm just looking and I'm thinking back to my experience watching Wizards Nets. And at points I was like, I was watching some defensive plays and some offensive plays, and I'm thinking to myself, as an absolute sicko, as I should be enjoying this game, could the Bucks have done that? Could the Bucks have done that? And a lot of times, it was yes. But a lot of times also, like at some other times, it was no. Like I'm looking at some of these possessions that the Nets are doing after Cam Johnson got hurt. Cam Johnson landed really bad on his tailbone. Yeah, got hurt.
I heard that.
That was not fun to watch. It was like happened like right in front of me. And I'm just like, oh, the Bucks couldn't do this. Oh, the Bucks would have miscommunicated that. Oh, the Bucks would have left him open. No one would have gone out to go contest that shooter. And I'm like, oh, the Bucks are just bad. They're just bad. They're not bad. They're not Wizards Nets. That gave me some perspective. Being in that arena, I was like, you know what? At least it's not this. At least it's not a half-empty stadium where you can get row 1 tickets for $90, which, by the way, is a good thing. Ticket prices shouldn't be high. But it's a supply-demand thing. And I'm thinking, at least it's not that bad, right? But then I'm like, is this better?
There's less emotional downside.
It's not better, right? Like I know I'm stupid for thinking that. It's absolutely not better. But for my own state, my own emotions, my own care about these teams in basketball, I'm like, this is just pain. What we're experiencing right now watching the Milwaukee Bucks is just pain. It is disappointment after disappointment, and it's going to be another disappointment in a couple weeks. Giannis can talk about all he wants about how you get 2 months to change your lives. Cool. Show me something before those 2 months. Not you, Giannis, specifically. But just like, congratulations to Giannis and Mariah, by the way, on the birthday of their 4th child. Great times. Happy
Analysis live with the Lopez brothers and Brandon Jennings. What a crew.
Crazy. That's just a Mad Libs. But you can't just change your lives. It's not 2 months to change your lives. It's 2 weeks to change your lives because you need to win a playoff series for the first time in 3 years. And I have no confidence now that they're probably going to be playing the Knicks, that's going to happen. It's just pain time. It's pain. I came back here and I was like, you know what? I'm so excited to be back in Milwaukee. I was gone for too long. I was gone for like a week, and I'm coming back into the greatest city on earth, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I get some food and I turn on Bucks Hawks and I'm like, no, this is pain. This is pain time. They welcomed me back with pain.
They did indeed.
I'm back.
You're fully back now. I think I agree with everything you said. And it looked like it was going to be close between Pacers and Knicks for the 3-4. Who was going to finish where? Like there was a world where the Bucks fell to 6 and still got the Pacers. Now the Knicks are up 4 in the loss column. I don't recall who has that tiebreaker, but the Pacers finally cooled down and lost a game. The Knicks have won 2 straight. So right now it does feel like with only less than 2 weeks, or exactly 2 weeks. One day less than 2 weeks in the season. It always ends on Sunday. So the season ends next Sunday, to put it in perspective on just how close we are at this point. And then the play-in starts, which, as we briefly touched on, could be a Bucks game based on the way things are going. I mean, realistically, I could look up exactly what it is. Even if they just go 500 down the stretch, that's probably not possible. The Hawks would have to win out, which does not feel likely given that they're the Hawks. I want to ask you this. This is something I debated a little bit in our Discord last night. Do you think the Hawks team, the players available to them last night, were more talented, or was it close versus the Bucks players last night? Because I don't think
the Hawks are more talented? Like the team that the Hawks fielded last night is more talented? The two teams that played last night.
I don't think so either. And I think it was more Cowbell in the GSPN Discord weighed in and said, you know, obviously Giannis is number 1, and then the Hawks have the next 4 guys, and clearly Trey is 2. I think pretty much after those two, to me, the teams are just varying collections of role players who, like, on a certain day they could be better. And again, Shea and Dyson Daniels looked really good against the Bucks in that specific game. If you look at their season averages, they are not.
Who would have thought that a stretch big and a guard would go off against the Bucks, Ty?
Yeah, well, no, Dyson Daniels, Shea is probably not, I wouldn't call him a big.
He played
a big wing. Well, I mean, he also shot 5 of 11 from 3 because they just kept leaving him wide.
That's what I'm
open.
saying. Stretch.
Well, yeah, the stretch part, whatever. They're role players. They're not 20 point. I mean, Reese had 36. Daniels is not a 29.
Would you still not trade him for Bobby?
I would trade Bobby. Well, they need Bobby really badly right now. I don't know. They're not playing Reese at the 5, so maybe I wouldn't.
They shouldn't play Bobby.
Well, they're gonna have to. They're dying to play Bobby at the 5 right now because it's him or Kyle Kuzma at this moment for some reason. We'll get into the Bucks. But I don't think their players are way better. I think they are much more well organized. And I think that was the difference. Like, I don't think Trent and Lopez and Kuzma are significantly worse than these Hawks role players. I just think the Bucks are an absolute mess. And I don't know what all goes into it. I think Doc is to blame for a significant portion because, as you mentioned, I mean, you're comparing them to Wiz Nets, which are, I mean, these are scrap heap teams put together on the fly this season as those front offices tear apart their rosters for like spare parts and future value. And you watch games like that and they still feel more organized and more coherent on both ends than the Bucks and what they're doing. And it's not even just offense. And the Bucks offense sucks right now. Like, so many possessions, it's just like Giannis starts to attack and then they swing it a couple times. Like, they don't run enough actions, I think, before they get to, trying to drive. It kind of works because Giannis is Giannis, but when Giannis is off the floor, a lot of it feels just not random in a good way. Not bud random, bad random. And then defensively, watching them in this losing streak, I just don't know what the point of almost anything they do is. Like, okay, we're keeping Brook in the paint. I get that part. That makes sense to me. Not been as effective there as he has been in past years because he's old. But it's a good idea. Keep your 7-footer in the paint. Okay, I'm with it. You watch and the other teams do anything. Random, off-ball screens, whatever. And then like 2 more Bucks just end up in the paint for some reason. All the time. Like, I'm going to collapse down. Why are you doing that?
I'm so glad you pointed that out because when I was talking about like open shooters all the time, all I could think of every possession for that during that Hawks game was just overhelping. Like, I don't know why. Sense. Like, why are you collapsing so
early? It's not like, okay, the shot goes up, let's collapse and get the board because they don't rebound well either. They don't do that. They like start to move back away for some reason.
They're not even a team with a high enough steal rate to justify that.
No, I mean they literally just like collapse to like offer fake help. Like it's like the weak side corner when the ball is on the strong side. And Taurean Prince has just got like a foot in the paint for some reason. And then Reese shooting a wide open 3 again. Like they approached Trae Young like he was like
God.
Who is the Cam Thomas? I'm trying to get like the best scorer who doesn't. I mean, even Cam Thomas upped his assist rate this year. Last year's Cam Thomas. I mean, in the second half, they just start doubling him. He's 4 of 16 from the field with 19 assists. He is literally surviving.
Ty, it's because they had Taurean Prince on him. If you're putting Taurean Prince on him, you got to have some help.
I'll get to that stupid decision in a second.
I was trying to lob you up for that.
You actually didn't. He was 4 of 16. You did fine. He drew fouls. He's going to draw fouls. He missed 12 of his 16 shots. He had 19 assists. The solution to a player like that is like, go ahead and try to score, buddy. Like, you're clearly ice cold tonight. Let's not give you the lob and the open shooters. That was what Trae did. He drew free throws and he made, beautiful passes in some aspects, but also often pretty easy passes. Like, hey, you're not even one pass away. Here's just an open guy who's ready to shoot. Hope you can't. Oh, you did it again? Let's send help. Let's make another open guy. What they do makes no sense. And then, to start the game, to your point, which is funny. This is the funniest part of this to me, is I think defensively, with the Rollins Giannis lineup they've been using, Prince actually doesn't not fit anymore. Because you don't need him to guard the smallest guard. He can just guard a 2 or a 3 or a 4. Okay, fine. Great. We have Ryan Rollins, good point guard defender. Makes a lot of sense. Actually works. Offensively, the spacing is still an issue, but whatever. We're talking defense. And they start the game, and they put Prince on Trae Young and Rollins on Dyson Daniels. And it's just like, why? Like, what are we?
It's
like,
really funny. I came in, I was like, I was really interested to see what they would do when I turned on the game, but I was like, I'm actually not. They're just going to do that.
There's one logical decision, though.
There's 100% one logical decision.
I didn't think they would do that. I was honestly shocked. And they switched it like about halfway through the quarter, but then later in the game, it was Prince back on. And he's just like, what are we doing? You have 2 good defensive point guards who should cover all 48 minutes of this game. And you just choose to barely use them.
Yeah. Hey, it's Taurean Prince time, baby. But it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like, that's the easiest thing you can do, right?
It's not even like a tactic. It's just our one guards their one. This isn't like some advanced, and I say advanced.
Well, you have to, Ty, when you start a lineup so big like that, which, by the way, again, is a choice.
Yeah, not a great choice. I mean, the Hawks are pretty big too. Like, I just think they made it harder for no reason.
Yeah, Taurean Prince. It's a lot easier for him to go up against Dyson Daniels than it is Trae Young. Ryan Rollins, a lot easier for him to go up against Trae Young than it is Dyson Daniels.
Literally just better for both of them to do it that way, and they just chose not to. And when I said advanced stuff earlier, like, you know how teams put their center on Kyle Kuzma and dare him to shoot? Dyson Daniels in this game, I think, scored 22 points, and 3 of those shots total were outside of the restricted area. We never thought about, hey, Brook, guard him and just dare. He was 0 for 3 from 3. Dare him to shoot and just sit there. We never thought about that once.
No, you got to have Brook involved. You got to have him, because otherwise Trae Young doesn't have anyone to come and set screens for and get switches and have, everyone, the defense just collapse in rotation and then get open threes. There's no other way to do that, Ty.
The way they're using Brook, I mean, and when things start to not work, they're just like, let's get him farther from the paint. Let's switch. Like, they're having him switch onto Trae on purpose. And then they're like, the zone they tried to play.
Oh my God.
They're just like, Brook, we want you like 1 foot behind the 3-point line. We want you in a place where you can do nothing. Brook had a bad game. I'm not saying it's all.
We're going to do a 1-3-1 zone, Brook, but you're the top one.
Yeah, you know what? We're just going to put you at half court.
Crazy.
I really don't get it. I really don't understand.
Dame got injured and Doc's just like,
nothing they did in that game made sense. I again, like I've made this point before, I legitimately now at this point in the year, and it's easier just to say like Doc's an idiot, whatever. And a lot of people are doing that. I don't think he's doing a good job. I've said this. I don't think we need to pile on necessarily. I legitimately think they have too many cooks in the kitchen. I think it's a worse coaching product because they just have too many guys. Last year when it was like Doc, Prunty, Kalamian, Jaeger, it felt like they did a really good job with like squeezing the most out of this group. And this year, it's just like literally like, you ever been in a meeting like when there's just like too many middle managers, and it's like things just get all like there's too much input, and you're like, you don't need input on this.
Yep.
That's what their decision making feels like. It's just like, wait, and now Rondo's here, and Rondo's like, let's do this. They're like, yeah,
is Rondo on the bench?
I don't think he can leave California.
I swear he was on the bench like a couple.
Was he bad? Maybe he can now. I don't. Well, he was there. When they were on that
to be
trip.
Clear, it is not a KCP situation. He can leave California.
Can he? I mean, no, it is a. I mean, he's.
Oh, is it?
Like there's like a. Yeah. He's
like
like a weapons charge, I believe.
Oh no.
Yeah. No. That's.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yeah. So I a couple games ago was this was in September, a misdemeanor gun charge. So I mean, I wouldn't think a misdemeanor charge. I don't know.
It's a misdemeanor. You're not going to get.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But I think he was only there when they were in the West Coast. I could be wrong though. I'm not tracking this that closely. But that's what it feels like to me.
At the training camp?
Yeah. I think I don't know. I don't want to wade too deep into these waters. Here's the thing about the Bucks lately, the last couple games. And I think one, losing Dame should not cause you to be a worse defensive team, which is a point I made last night, which I'm trying to make this as polite as possible to Dame, given that, terrible situation for him, and we hope he gets well soon. But giving up 145 is not because you didn't have Damian Lillard. The second thing is these last couple of games, you have a point guard in the Hawks game who has 28, 4, and 5. You have a point guard in the Knicks game who has 25 and 4. They're finding, I would say, enough production from the point guard spot. It's not ideal to be without Dame. It could be better, but I think the Rollins, KPJ, Voltron, and I think that this is the one thing I think Doc is doing.
Can we call them
well.
a Voltron?
Yeah, they're a Voltron. They've been playing well. Combined, they've been giving them enough point guard production. This is not like we have, 10 points from our 2 point guards. They're getting like 30-ish points a night from those guys. That's good enough.
Okay, yeah.
It is.
No, it is. No, it is good enough. I'm just trying to think of a different thing than Voltron, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because usually I think of Voltron as like more than 2. Regardless, they're the combination of those two. They're moneyballing it, right? They're like, we need to replace Damian Lillard in the aggregate, and thankfully, Rollins and Trent combined these games have kind of been able to do that. I'll say Rollins, even though he only had 10 points in the Hawks game, has been really good since he got back into the starting 5 and really since Dame went down, which is huge for them. The big spot is actually their bigger issue right now. And that's why what is Bob, 4 games away?
Yep.
Or 4 days away. April 5th, I think?
I think it was 4 games.
Either or. It's going to be a big deal. And I think they should legitimately consider Smith or Nance just to give them an athletic, bigger option off the bench. They're clearly shying away from having Giannis do it too often. But the Kuzma at the 5 groups, I just don't think are it at all. Because he's not a center. I mean, but I guess those guys aren't really centers either. But they're just bigger. I would try Ajax, but that I don't know.
They did try Ajax, maybe not at center, but at times.
It was a +7 in a game they lost by
21.
Whatever they lost by 21. Yeah. Even though, but if here's the issue, right? Like 0 for 2 from the field, 1 of 2 from free throw. Got an offensive rebound right by the rim and didn't even think about going up with it. Like, in that game, you could still kind of see the reason they don't play. He also took a foot on the line, like turnaround jumper at one point that I didn't really understand. His energy was really helpful though, and they should probably roll with him more.
But instead of who? That's the question.
Yeah, because like Kuzma played well, and probably instead of Brook. In games like this, where the other
you don't need 30 minutes of Brook.
No, and they're stuck with it. By their own volition.
You know who played well?
Who?
Pat.
Yeah.
I'm not mad.
He is the best pick and roll ball handler.
Did watch the last game.
He did. He is the best pick and roll ball handler on the team.
Yes. He is he has the most.
Oh, no, he didn't play in the last game. Sorry, he did not play in the next game because AJ Green played. AJ Green got a shoulder injury late in that game.
Yes.
So that's why Pat played in this game.
So, but Pat Connaughton
might be the best 13th man in the league, man.
I think he is. He might be the best more than that.
Yeah.
I tweeted last night that something that I think of a lot when it comes to Pat is that Pat Connaughton making basketball look easy is an indictment on the entire roster and coaching staff, because it is. It really is.
A guy who knows what to do, and it's like, wow, that's refreshing.
Right, exactly. He comes into the game and he's like, oh, he's just getting to the rim. Oh, he's running a DHO perfectly into a pick and roll with Giannis. Oh, he can maneuver around a screen, take a little turnaround jumper, which was audacious, by the way.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he made that. I sent in our group chat the gif of what was that?
Patrick
John
Ewing.
Thompson. It was Ewing, that's right. It was when you practiced that shot. Yeah.
But it's crazy. And it just shows how much this roster does not fit together. I think it really does.
I mean,
they don't, Ty. It's been too long for us to say, oh, we just need Ty. The season's over.
No, I know that, but I don't
If they
think
were
this
going to
collection of
fit, they should
players.
have fit by now.
I don't think this collection of players couldn't make it work. I don't think the coaching staff has done a good job maximizing this group.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's entirely the players' fault. I'm saying a lot of it is on the coaching staff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, Pat Connaughton has just been like, do you know what he's doing? He's just posting like things on Instagram where it's just like he's posting like month dumps on Instagram. That's the level of basketball player he's at right now. And he comes into the game and he has the best chemistry with Giannis. And it's like, bro, this dude should be a full-time whatever he does, real estate guy.
I mean, he launched a LinkedIn this month. Like, I mean, like that's literally what you do when you're preparing for your next career. And they bring him back in, and he's like, "Oh, this is actually easy, guys."
Yeah, and it's like Pat Connaughton is not a good basketball player
in relative to the rest of the NBA.
Yes,
he would annihilate us.
Oh yes. Relative to the NBA standard.
Yeah, it's I know
he's still a top percentile basketball player on the planet. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But relative to the NBA, he's not a good basketball player. I should not have him come in and be like, oh, wow, this is how basketball needs to be played.
Yeah, I do think I will say the one thing I'll say about Giannis in this pod. I don't think he is very willing sometimes to run screen and roll with guards he doesn't trust/respect. And he should probably go to it more with Rollins and KPJ. Because I do think they're capable point guards and they could get him easier looks. But it's just a lot of, especially with that starting group of like kind of Giannis creating by himself and then just dishing to Rollins. I think there's got to be a little more give and take there. But you brought up Pat, and I'm glad you did, because speaking of Pat and his life and his careers, springtime is here and baseball season is officially underway. And don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your prize picks lineup, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, or homers if you happen to be watching the Brewers play in the Bronx over the weekend. Take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. The great thing about this time of year with baseball, basketball, college sports going on is on Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball, hockey, don't forget hockey, esports, and so much more. And as you mentioned up top, Rohan, Prize Picks, the inventors of the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And again, maybe we're trying to distract ourselves from basketball at the moment for good reason, but the latter half of the basketball season is here. Playoff push in the pros, middle guts of the I think I can say tournament in the collegiate game. And everything is heating up on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. We love playing Prize Picks. Again, it spices up some of these games that could really use some spice because the Bucks aren't bringing enough of it. And I will say I am dialed in this week on Prize Picks. Looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo, we don't always talk about him for Prize Picks because the numbers are high, but he seemed resolute and continuing to fight forward and make this work. He's still scoring the ball. New dad energy, playing at a high level. So I'm looking at his PRA. It's a big number. I'm going to smash the more than regardless. And you can join us. Download the app today. You should join us. Use code EuroStep, all one word, to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That is promo code EuroStep on the Prize Picks app. Again, $50 instantly. All you got to do is play your first $5 lineup, win or lose. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay. Yeah, Pat.
You know Pat played baseball?
I had never heard that before.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, pretty nuts. Tough stretch that Kyle Kuzma gives you around 50% shooting and averaging 22.5 points these last two games, and the Bucks still can't. I mean, they were, I don't know, kind of competitive against the Knicks. Like, the game looks close, but the Knicks were really in control all the way down the stretch, and the Bucks just thankfully didn't get blown out. But you get a good game from Kuzma. You get a good game from Rollins. Trent had 14 in that game. and you just can't do enough. They only had 107, so they kind of held the Knicks down when you look at just total score. The Knicks only had 116, but also no Jalen Brunson, so that's still quite a lot. DeLon Wright is posting anti-Buck stuff. He started in that game.
I saw that, points. And I'm like, I am on vacation. I do not need this.
Yeah.
I saw that. I immediately closed Twitter. I closed Discord. I was like, I'm done.
That's what you got to do sometimes. The way the Bucks are playing. Landry
I was like, DeLon Wright tied. DeLon Wright.
Tyler Kolek was a plus 18 in 17 minutes in that game.
I'll always root for Tyler. But DeLon Wright. I just...
Yeah.
Has anything gone well for the Bucks in the last week?
Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. I will say,
has anything gone right for the Bucks?
It's a real thing. I mean, again, it's easy to just say they're cooked, they're done. Yes. They're still a basketball team. They lost a star point guard. They need production from the position. It is important that those guys are giving them that.
And they're still losing.
Well, that's the thing. There's other things to figure out. But if they got nothing from those guys, I think they're going to
lose still.
They're
losing anyway.
Yeah, I'm well aware. They're not. But it's like
they're not getting blown out. They are getting blown out.
I didn't say that. These are games that they would lose with Dame. So now it's how do we figure out how to play better?
What, did still lose?
Yeah. Well, yes, Rohan. Are you just a binary win-lose guy now?
Yes, right now, yes.
Fair enough. Let's see. Can they pull off a home loss to the KD-less Suns?
Remember when I was saying, can they get to 50 wins? I'm just hoping they get to 500 at this point.
They need one more win to get to 500.
Well, 2 more wins to be above 500. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay. Can he be above 500?
So the schedule down the stretch, could not really be easier. One of the remaining teams that was, I don't know if you'd say good, but at least competitive for a playoff spot. The Suns are their opponent tomorrow night. And KD sprained his ankle, is not traveling. So he's going to be out. Did not look good.
Very unfortunate for KD.
Might mean that the zombie Mavs remain in the play-in, which is crazy. But that team sucks. Without KD, they are dreadful. Booker's having a huge down year. Beal, I think, is also still out, or should be for their sake. I could see Devin Booker having a 30-point triple-double, and the Suns win.
Bro, you might have a 50-point triple-double, and
nothing is out of the range of possibilities. The Sixers, the Heat, both pretty bad. The Pelicans are horrible. That's the second game of a back-to-back. I would rest Giannis in that game no matter what. Then you got Wolves, and then you got Pels.
Wolves might have some players suspended.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. They haven't announced that yet, have they?
Nope. That's probably coming today.
Yeah, I mean that's probably 4 or 5 games away for the Wolves, but it could last that long. Pretty serious, ugly fight.
That was you don't see fights like that.
No.
Too much.
Then JV Bickerstaff, the Pistons. Speaking of Pistons, they're up twice to end.
Prigioni?
Dude, Prigioni was talking crazy, apparently.
Crazy.
Which
I've never seen an assistant get ejected during a fight.
I if you had to say former player turned assistant coach who got ejected for a role in a fight, I would not have had Prigioni on the list.
I was like, did KG sign as an assistant?
Right.
Watch Uncut Gems the other week. Fantastic, by the way.
Uncut Gems.
Julia Fox.
It's a person. But yeah, Wolves, Pels, Pistons back-to-back, and then Pistons again. Not a hard schedule, but
the
also
Pistons
hasn't been that hard.
Will probably be over by then.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's 6 games away or 7 games away for them.
But to your point, it is an easy schedule relative to what they've had over the last month. It is a fairly easy schedule.
I mean, they could still snap back into 5th here if they got it together now. Given that you get those 2 games, which will decide tiebreaker against Detroit, and you're only 1 back in the loss column of Detroit right now. And they probably will be without some players via suspension. They lost that Wolves game anyway. That's still doable. I think the Pacers now are probably just locked into 4 or better. I mean, depending on how the Pistons do. Like the Bucks, I don't think will catch Indiana.
No, which
they would have to play very well down the stretch. I mean, three back in the loss column, the Bucks have tiebreaker, so they need to be 3 games better the rest of the way. And Indiana's schedule is not easy, but this is more so I just have no faith in the Bucks being able to win consistently enough.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they can turn things around because they are getting good play from Rollins, Porter, Kuzma starting to round into form. But again, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter. You're getting all that and you're still losing.
I actually think I am willing to risk the spacing. They probably do just need to play Ajax every game. Because I do think they are just missing energy on the wing right now. It's weird that Kuzma, I don't feel like is really bringing that anymore. Like, does he have to just focus on one of offense or defense? Like, I haven't felt his defensive impact in the last few games very much at all.
No.
Which isn't good. So
I feel like they've been not trying to feature him on defense, which has kind of led to a little bit of an offensive uptick.
Yeah.
Which
they need. I mean, they need a little bit of both. But
here's the thing. When it was working, like with the Kyle Kuzma experiment, I say experiment, like he's not on the team for another couple of years.
Yeah. Well,
he's under contract. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah,
it was working.
When they've mostly been using him as a defensive piece. We're like, oh, we just need the offense. Then this is going to come together. We need him to be more on offense. He comes on offense, and he's doing a lot of good things on offense. And it's like, wish he could lock in defensively a little bit more. It's like, I don't know if he has it in him to find that good balance of being a two-way player.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. They're going to certainly need that. And
he still can't finish, man.
He had a couple nice ones against the Hawks. He tailed off later, but he had a really nice spin and layup earlier in that game.
He can't have contested finishes. How about that?
Yeah. He's got to work on that.
Just again, the most important buck, go to the Pat Connaughton School of Finishing.
He figured it out. He's just like, there's nothing about his game that says I should be able to finish layups at a high level, but he does.
Yeah.
What a player. It's tough timing to say someone should start over Prince because Trent has been cold the last couple of games, which has hurt them. 2 for 9. Really just the Hawks game, he was 2 for 9. I still think he's playing pretty well. But it just feels like that starting group is not it. And it's, again, I don't think they're not it because it's just like, oh, we're without Dame, so we can't play right now. Rollins outscored both Lopez and Prince in that game. I would shift something with that group. And it doesn't even feel like it's Kuzma right now. I mean, their spacing isn't good. I don't know.
It's like the offense wasn't like really a problem, right?
No, it wasn't in that. I mean, they kept scoring. I mean, yeah, the Hawks couldn't guard them at all.
It was like one of the only times that the Bucks have lost the season while scoring 120.
Yeah, probably like the second or third time.
Yeah, it's because they gave up 145 points.
And most of I don't even know how much of it was just like strictly personnel limits. Like again, we talked about the way they just leave shooters open and they just like randomly stopped getting back in transition, even though they don't go for offensive rebounds. They only had 6 in the whole game, and
yeah, but it's because
Ajax.
You let George Niang be open, even though he's an elite shooter. You let Risache be open, even though like he's killing you from 3 in this game.
Yeah, but like the after made baskets, they're getting run out on. Like how didn't we cover this? This is not a super unathletic team. There's one non-athletic player in the rotation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Onyeka Okongwu who was getting back for those runouts.
No.
It was Risache and Dyson Daniels. Like, the players guarding those guys, we're not talking, oh, Dame and Chris can't get back in time. Those guys are not playing. Probably the rest of the season. Well, yeah, probably the rest of the season for both of them in their respective teams. You know, Prince and Kuzma and Rollins and whoever else needs to be getting back with those guys. So, it just felt like they lost focus. It felt like they quit for a large portion of that game. I will say, is it the
analysis party fault?
Well, I wonder if it was the dude. Did you see they showed TA and he was yawning?
No.
They showed TA
Oh
courtside
no,
and
it
he was
might actually,
yawning.
we might be onto something.
And I was like, wow, the TA after the analysis after party went insane, huh? Because you don't usually see that guy yawning at a basketball game very often. I think were it not for the Kevin Porter Jr. explosion in the fourth, they probably lose by like 40.
Yeah,
And he kind
pretty
of pulled
easily.
them back. He kind of willed them back into it. He had, I know at one point he had 18 in the fourth. He might have had more than that. He's become really good at drawing fouls on 3-point shooting.
He had 18 in the first 6 minutes and ended with 20 in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty impressive production there. And it's a game where you could probably look and go like, oh, Doc should have played him more. Wasn't that effective outside of the fourth, and then he played, I think, almost all of it. I still like the Porter Jr. Rollins lineup, so I guess that's a starting lineup I would consider. Is just start both of them because they have been two of the best few players for the Bucks in the last recent games, and I think they actually work pretty well together.
I think so too. It's been a weird like sort of thing that's come around because you and I talked about it with the KPJ Dame lineups as well. It's like, let
Yeah,
Dame get a little bit more of like some off ball stuff, and even Dame has talked about that.
yeah,
Also, Dame was looking good on the sidelines, like that
yeah.
the blackjack. It was a good look from Dame.
You know what's not a good look?
Him being hurt.
Have you heard these Toyota commercials? Like podcast ads?
No.
It's like so the tagline is like no one can stop my drive, which I think that's a good idea. But there's like this voice, I hear it all the time when I listen to different pods, and it's like it's like Damian Lillard. He doesn't need mentorship or listen to the people who came before him. He makes his own path. I was like,
What?
that doesn't feel very Damian Lillard to me, man.
No, Dame respects the legend so
Yeah.
much and talks about how much
It's
the legend has sculpted his game.
Toyota, hit us up. Let's work out a better sponsorship here for Dame, but kind of a fumble, I would say. Every time I hear it, I'm like, that just doesn't sound like a positive to me.
Yeah, it does not sound like a positive at all. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the Dame KPJ lineups, like
Yeah,
those were kind of working a little bit. So it makes sense that like Rollins KPJ would kind of work a little bit more. Like
yeah,
like those KPJ as the lead ball handler lineups were putting too much pressure on him to really
yeah,
do everything. And you know what? He probably wants that, and it's like
yeah.
maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's I like this
Not the
role
best
for him.
listener though, Kevin Porter Jr.
No, I wouldn't mind if he started to. I don't hate this role for him. I think we talked about this. But he and Rollins are two of the few players on the team right now who actually get to the rim consistently. Like Kuzma kind of does, but doesn't always finish. Obviously, Giannis is number one in the league at doing that. And then the next best is Pat. Well,
Kuzma theoretically.
I said Kuz.
Oh, you did. Sorry, I missed Kuzma.
No, I said he gets there but isn't finishing great, but he will get there. Or
Yeah,
try to.
might be Pat. I mean, Trent sometimes,
He had been lately.
but it's not
He,
his go-to. He's not
no,
like a rim pressure
he'd rather
guy.
take a
He'll
jumper.
just take advantage of an opportunity, but he's not going to do it for
Yeah,
himself.
yeah,
Who might be Pat? That's depressing. Everything about this is
yeah,
depressing, Ty.
yeah,
But no, Rollins and KBJ both have like they have good rim pressure. So putting them both out there as ball handlers is kind of a good thing to have. And then I'm thinking like, oh, every team in the league has that.
yeah,
And it just makes me sad again.
yeah. I mean, again, we talked about this right after the trade. They're trying to get more of this with Kuzma, but now, of course, the loss of Dame is big. But I do think watching this recent stretch confirms to me that Rollins and KPJ should have both just been playing the whole time, even when Dame was healthy, because especially Rollins is a good off-ball player, and I think they just need what he gives them on both ends. Like he gives them energy, he creates deflections, usually defensively, gets to the rim, he can space it. He's been shooting the ball very well from three, but like his rim pressure was great against the Knicks. I think he had a career high 20 points in that game.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, where the defense go? And that's the new thing to figure out.
Where did the
Tough stretch
defense
for Torian
go?
Prince lately.
Where did the everything go? The Milwaukee Bucks story.
Yeah.
Have I been too doomer?
No, I mean they lose to everyone.
Yeah, they lose to everyone. Do you think they can win a playoff series?
No, again. Like, can they turn into a different game in the next team in the next 2 weeks? I'm going to say probably not. So no, I don't think they can win a playoffs. They look terrible. They lose to literally everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, the last game they won was against the Lakers, who just they beat the Kings too. Sorry, they beat the Kings without Sabonis. They beat the Lakers without any players. And before that, it was that Pacers game and then another Lakers win when LeBron didn't play.
Awesome.
And then they lost 3 more games before that. Since March 5th, I think they are 2-9.
I mean, okay, how about this? Are we being too doomer, even though the Bucks are missing AJ Green, Bobby Portis, Jericho Sims, Damian Lillard?
No, because every other team is missing all these players too, and they still look competent.
Yeah.
How many guys did the Hawks have out last night? Definitely Jalen Johnson. I don't know if Capella's just out of the rotation or if he's hurt.
Was out. He was just inactive.
But Nance at least Jalen Johnson, Nance, who that cool pick of Pete and Larry Nance before the game.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, but I mean, just like every team they're playing in this stretch is without players. Yeah, no one really else for the Hawks, but a couple big ones. Actually, they don't even list Jalen Johnson as inactive. That's weird.
Because he was technically like he wasn't with the team. I think he didn't travel.
Oh yeah, not with team. So Nance, Capella, Keaton Wallace, Kobe Buffkin, those might just be, by choice for them though.
Yeah. And of course, Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, and then the Knicks didn't have any of their point guards. Brunson, Juice McBride, or Campaign. Like,
they had DeLon Wright.
They started DeLon Wright, who just doesn't play for them. Like, he wasn't playing at all for them. And they historically stink without Jalen Brunson. They can't score at all. And the Bucks just let OG Anunoby fill it up. Denver was pretty healthy, so I won't criticize. And they kept that game competitive somehow. The Suns without Beal helps them.
Yeah, that's a positive for the Suns.
Yeah. They lost to the Warriors without Curry by 11. And I believe that was the last Dame game, so they were pretty whole for that. The Thunder, weren't the Thunder without guys in that game? I barely remember J-Dub, that game anymore. I think J-Dub was out. I think they had actually a couple guys out.
Maybe.
So, no, I don't think that's a good excuse because this time of year, everybody's without players. And the other teams figure it out, and the Bucks crumble.
Yep. The Bucks crumble like they always do, Time. I don't even know what else. What else should we talk about?
A little worried about this summer.
Yeah, me too. I think I don't even want to get into it a lot, but
yeah.
I think this is the first time it's ever felt real.
J-Dub, Lou Dort, J-Dub and Lou Dort were 2 starters out for the Thunder in that game.
Yeah.
And they started Kenny Hustle, who had 0 points, and they still just absolutely handled the Bucks.
Yep.
They shot 34% from 3. The Bucks shot 38% from 3. Not a competitive game.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Giannis still seems pretty locked in right now. I will say it's also troubling to me that it feels like they just keep quitting on coaches.
It's a problem, isn't it? It's a big problem.
This is 3 in a row. Pushback about Bud, saying that they haven't quit on Bud.
They did quit on Bud.
I think they did in that series too, and obviously there was the mitigating factor of the injury, but like they weren't winning the games he was healthy in that series either. If you recall, I mean, they were losing pretty bad when he got hurt at home, and they just looked totally flat and disjointed. Like
that entire season kind of felt like a weird.
Yeah, I mean they still won.
I mean they were like almost near 60-win team that year. But.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, I just thought they just felt even like when Giannis is out, like you can get out talented, like that happens. But that was like a good example of that was the Pacers series loss. After Dame goes down, Giannis doesn't play. They were like pretty locked in. I thought they played well to their facilities throughout that. They just weren't good enough. They just didn't have answers. But that's different than like that Heat series where it just felt like guys going through the motion outside of Chris, who I thought really brought a lot of heart, and they miss his leadership right now. But like Griffin, they were winning and playing at a high level, and they mutinied him. And now we'll see down the stretch, but these last couple of games, it just feels like going through the motions for a lot of guys, which I just don't understand how that's possible with Giannis on the roster. It just really doesn't compute for me.
No, it doesn't. It should never happen. And like, in all fairness, the one connecting line in here is Giannis, and Brooke and Pat and Bobby.
If Pat is factoring in as a negative to the chemistry, I don't believe it. Because he comes in and plays hard.
Yeah, Pat might be what's saving this team.
Well, they're not. He needs to do more then.
Yeah, we'll save them from
the LinkedIn. We need your focus here.
But no, it's just coach after coach after coach.
And again, this is to clarify. Neither of us thinks Doc is doing a good job lately, or the whole staff, the whole 84 coach staff.
But I don't think Doc is telling them to, hey, just lose every shooter possible.
Yeah, maybe the scheme is, but like the runouts and like just bad effort. They're not telling him that. So that's concerning to me. And again, it's like, and I agree, there's a lot of frustration with the team right now, like from fans. And I agree, because like your point when we started this episode, I mean, is like, it's not been fun to watch them. And it's not just a binary, like they lost, so it's not fun to watch them. Like the way they're losing is just dreadful.
Like I don't get excited to watch Bucks games.
I talk myself into it every game, and then I start actually watching them. And I'm just like, why do they look like this?
I stayed up till like I watched that Phoenix game, and I was just in my hotel room watching this on terrible Wi-Fi, and I'm just like up until 1 something because I'm on the East Coast watching this game when I have to get up early for a conference, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, there's no reason for me to do this.
It just feels like it.
Obviously, I have to do this. So, like, I don't have to. Like, I want to.
Yeah. It does just feel lately like there's just, I don't know if it's buy-in or effort or what the right word is, but you watch them and they just do not scream out like a locked-in team. And I don't want to hear any excuse about it, because it's not. Like, if they were getting out-talented in these losses straight up, that is one thing, and you just go, okay, that's going to happen when you're without 3-4 rotation guys. I get it. Like, they should be working harder than ever, and it's not like it's just like, oh, there's too much load on some of these guys. It's like they're wing players who are playing like 20 minutes a game, or just being put into the rotation, and they still can't keep up. It's like, okay, like, what's going on here? I don't know, but it feels bad.
Yeah, everything feels bad. Everything feels terrible. And I'm not happy about it, Si.
No. I mean, they absolutely need to jump on this Suns team and just handle this game.
You need to get some sort of positive momentum.
Do you know how many points, the fast break points, the Bucks had against the Hawks?
It's less than 10, isn't it?
4.
Wow.
Atlanta outscored them 22-4 on fast break. They outscored them 62-46 in points in the paint. I mean, just crazy. 28-11 on points off turnovers. Just like the energy. It's energy. Like, you're not forcing turnovers. You're not running the break. You're not running back on the other
home
break.
Game, you know?
Well, this is also why I don't buy the Dame thing. Like, remember, they start 2-8, and how much of that was just like, we're just not closing out against the Bulls and the Nets. And how important do those games feel now when you're
incredibly
fighting to play in?
Like, yeah, you should be locked into the 4 right now.
Even just those 2 games. If you have 2 more wins, you're 42 and 32. You're ahead of Detroit and like 1 loss column behind Indiana. Hugely different outlook. And there's more games than that they tricked off by just not trying for 48 minutes. I mean, how many games this year have we seen their fake comebacks? And sometimes they pull it off when they're down 12 at half because they just don't bother closing out for the first 2 quarters and just assume they can get it back, and they actually can't. That's been a very consistent story for this team.
It has. They always think that they are better than they are.
Yeah.
I think they feel like they have an aura around themselves that they are a contender, that they are an elite team, when they're just not. They're not.
No. I do think, what you mentioned, some of this does come back to Giannis. Not all of it, not all his fault. He is clearly the only thing keeping them afloat at all right now.
Yeah, without Giannis, this is a garbage can of a team.
But he talked about after the Hawks game in the presser, like, I need to get on guys more, kind of like, I need to be more vocal, like, not always my favorite thing to do. Yeah, you really do. I mean, you got to light into some guys here.
You gotta beat him up.
Not
man.
acceptable.
You gotta go into you gotta do a Michael Jordan on Steve Kerr one of these days, man.
Or at least do a Jimmy Butler. I think that's the most powerful thing he could do right now is if he said, give me like Rollins, Ajax,
give
Trent,
me the two ways.
Give me the two ways, or just even the bench guys, and just kick. Give me the assistants.
Give me Vin Baker.
I know. I think you should take like the 4 hardest working guys off the bench, Pat and some of the young guys, and just go dominate the starters in a practice, and just go. This is how we need to play because that team is going to be running and moving the ball and everything. I mean, maybe that's just a fan fiction. They probably don't even practice because they don't have 2 days off ever anymore. But schedule a practice and do that and make a point.
Do it during the game.
I mean, you could probably pull film where they do kind of do that during the games.
Tell the Suns, hey, you guys don't have any players. Take Kyle Kuzma for a possession. Take Trent for a possession.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny. I feel like the villain keeps changing for the Bucks every game. Well, Doc's been consistent throughout, but Kuzma Gulch. For a while.
Gulch
now Kuzma's
stream.
playing well. Gulch, whatever we're calling him.
He's not a Glenn, he's a Gulch.
But it's like he's consistent, but it was Kuzma, but now Kuzma's playing well. Now it's Brook again. Brook's been people dislike Brook a lot too.
Glenn Rivers more like Gulch stream.
Actually, Giannis wasn't on the court. KPJ, Ajax, Trent, Kuzma, Brook was their best lineup against Atlanta. They were plus 10 in 5.6 minutes.
Cool.
And then their second best lineup was Giannis, KPJ, Trent, Prince, Pat. So pretty close to the group I said. Hilariously, Prince is in one of those, but
I mean, like they do play hard, right? Like those guys, they play the right way. Like, is there a way we could do like some Osmosis Jones type stuff to get like, Gary Trent just absorbs. No, it can't be Rollins.
Pat C is in 2 of their best lineups. The other one was Brook, Giannis, Pat, Prince, Rollins. Look what a guy who gets to the rim and moves the ball does.
They re-signing Ryan Rollins has to be a top priority, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of upset they did not get him on a multi-year contract. I know we talked about that, but
it's very strange they didn't. Him and Sims, I feel like, are keys.
I think he believes in himself. Him and his agent believe in themselves in the open market now, which is kind of fair.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think he could get a standard NBA contract from someone other than the Bucks.
That's right, but like having it for sure when you might have to get shoulder surgery.
That's true.
You couldn't get one more year.
Maybe that's why the Bucks didn't do it.
Yeah, that is still looming over him. We'll see.
But yeah, like can you have Gary Trent absorb Andre Jackson Jr.'s mentality about like defense?
Yeah, just on defense.
Yes, just defense.
Just on defense.
Just defense. He'll shoot though, so maybe that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Or Prince.
Yeah.
Prince playing like Ajax would be great for this team.
Yeah. Maybe it is Ajax.
I think they probably need what he brings a little more consistently. You have to be careful with it, and it's difficult because the spacing isn't great.
They had him out there with Brook at times, and I was like, oh, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I would play him. He's got to play with Brook or Giannis, but I would play him with Brook. I'd play him in either. I don't even care. Just don't play him with all 3 of Kuzma, Giannis, Brook.
Yes.
1 or 2 at most. But with Sims out now, I think he can fit in again. Like you lost a non-spacer. He's 6'7", I think.
Is he 6'7"? He's listed at 6'6". His hair probably adds an inch.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like it's not quite a center.
No, it's not a center, but it could be a 4 with his athleticism and verticality. He's also like might be their biggest trash talker with Bob out.
Oh, 100%.
They're down a bunch, and what was it?
Terrence Mann.
Daniels? It was Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann got ejected.
He got Terrence Mann ejected. But it's good to see him on the other side of that, because usually he's the one getting ejected. So
he almost like
from Ajax.
By the way, that should have been a goaltend, by the way, on that putback, because like you got some guy grabbing the rim or grabbing the net. It's like 100% a missed goaltend.
That's what Ajax was calling. Yeah.
And like, obviously, yeah, I'm not saying the right. Yeah. Oh, the Bucks lose by 19 instead of 21.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
But and he just immediately goes and starts talking trash. And I'm like, oh, I like this. I
They
like this a
needed it.
lot.
They needed it.
Got him ejected. That's so. Imagine Andre Jackson
How do you
Jr.
get that
getting
hot when
under
you're
your
up
skin
20?
so much when you're down, when you're up 20,
That's
that you get
crazy.
ejected. And did you see what he was saying to the ref after he got ejected?
Ajax or man?
Man,
Oh yeah,
I cannot say that.
No.
There was some genitalia words involved.
Yeah. I was pretty stunned that he was that mad. He didn't even play much in the and he played really well too.
It's just so funny. Like you're up 20. Just you should laugh at him. Say, "Oh yeah, good stuff, man. You're down 20. Check the score." There's just something like that. Just play it off easy.
Though.
It's you get a second tech.
The Bucks need a guy who's just gonna like get under. Like they just don't have that much emotional like fire right now.
No, they don't. They have zero emotional fire. God, Bob's gonna change our lives, man.
I think he actually, for better and for worse, he will.
Yeah, he's either going to be the solution or the end.
Until he gets back, I would just like pretend Ajax is a 4 or 5 and just roll him out there.
Post him up too if you need.
I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I would make him screen and roll because I think he's pretty good at that. He can obviously catch lobs and rebound. He had 3 boards in 11 minutes. I don't know. I think they should try him more. I think they need what he brings athletically and emotionally.
I think so. I think so too, 100%.
Because that's what they lost with Sims. He was a better version, but just like a big athlete. And they now are just much less athletic because basically Pat C is grabbing that / the AJ Green spot, and he's pretty athletic for his age, but is obviously not giving you the kind of plays that Sims or Ajax can give you.
Yeah.
Although he did block. He blocked a Nick at half court, like going into halftime. Oh, no, that wasn't him. Who did that? Or was that a different game?
I don't know.
Must have been a different game. It was a different game.
I've been lost.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's all I've got. It feels really bad. Really need to just snap out of it right now. And that's the frustrating thing. Like, it's still set up, like, the standings for the Bucks to just, like, get hold of this, try and play defense for 48 minutes a night. They could still certainly lock down the 5. Yeah. Like, it's literally in their control. If you win out, it doesn't matter what Detroit does. So it's right there. But it's been right there for them to be 3. It's been right then for them to be 4. Now we're down to 5. It just keeps slipping.
We're done. Yeah. And if there's one team that will light a fire under the Bucks for them in the first round series, it is the Indiana Pacers. You would want to play them.
Yeah. I mean, I'd much rather play them than the Knicks regardless. I just think the Knicks are better.
Yeah, the Knicks are just way better.
And they will have Brunson back almost certainly by the playoffs, so they will. I mean, defensively at the rim, they're an issue, but the Bucks have not been able to capitalize on that. And without Dame, I still don't think they're going to be able to. So, would much rather play Indiana.
Yeah, 100%. We shall see.
Maybe,
the Bucks
maybe they'll be playing Orlando in a 1-game series.
Oh, man. They would lose. They would. I have no guarantees or no faith. Sorry, I should say that if the Bucks fall to like the 7 or 8 spot in the play-in,
that they could get knocked out.
They'd get knocked out.
They could get knocked out entirely.
But yeah, the Bucks have 8 games left. Like we were talking about, they played next against the Phoenix Suns on Tuesday in Fiserv Forum. Bud's returned to Fiserv first time as an opposing head coach since that Miami loss at home.
Yeah.
Tough. Real tough.
Yeah. Hopefully the tribute video is nice. Yeah, Jordan's at all the big games. And you actually. But hopefully they get a nice video and hopefully Bud gives them a win.
I think the crowd is going to be very excited to see Bud.
Yeah, probably.
Glenn's going to be like, what? I love how I just called him Glenn. Glenn. He's going to be like, why are they cheering for me?
Glenn. I was trying to think of like Glenn Med Student Rivers. He's got to go back and study.
He's an M2.
So now you lost me.
Second year student.
Okay. Yeah, sure. M1's on the table if they lose to Phoenix.
Yeah. It might go down to pre-med undergrad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just get a college student soon enough.
Pre-med undergrad stream.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire and GSPN, presented by our amazing, wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's good to be back. Good to be back. I felt weird not being on pods. It feels really strange, but yeah, I'm back. I'm not going to miss a week until like late May. And who knows? We might not have basketball to cover at that point. We probably won't be.
We'll see.
Do you think the Bucks are making the freaking conference finals, man?
I'll never rule it out.
I'll never rule it out either, but I have a planned trip to Vegas, and it's going to be fine, I think. Yeah, appreciate everyone listening. Happy to be back. Hopefully some of you are happy that I'm back. If not, you know what, it is what it is. But make sure you check out gspn.info for all of our links. Subscribe wherever you're listening to your podcast platform of choice or YouTube. Pod Random. Pod's coming back. Pod Random, everyone. And we'll talk to you next time.